This is the Unscripted Climb, the podcast where business owners talk about stuff that doesn't make it to motivational speeches. I'm Chris Beecham, founder of Perch Merch, where we put your logo on things people might actually keep. I co-host this with Natalie Micale, founder of Oh Hello Agency. She makes brands look like they have their act together. If you want a free merch or brand audit, we do that too. No pressure. Just don't blame us if we're honest. Go to theunscriptedclimb.com. Let's get going. Welcome to the Unscripted Climb. Today, we have Eric Prellwitz of Prellwitz Exteriors. Eric?
Woohoo!
That's me.
So tell me, what is Prellwitz Exteriors?
So we are a roofing, siding, gutter, permanent lighting company. So we kind of cover all your exterior needs with everything that I guess most people would need on the outside of their house.
Making your home the best on the block, am I right?
Yes, best on the block or the brightest on the block.
I wonder who came up with that. Who came up with that? I am really excited to have Eric on, Chris, because I've been working with him at Oh Hello as one of my clients. He is just such an infectious energy, and you are so positive every time I talk to you. What made you want to be an entrepreneur? Because we know being an entrepreneur isn't all positive.
No, there's definitely some uncertainty and risks, and you got to learn how to manage them. Just kind of seeing some friends of mine go through it and really be successful. I was in the industry long enough that I felt like I could handle it all myself with a certain way that I'd want to run the company. So in 2021, that's kind of where we took off, and still here today.
So 2021, let's see, that was post-pandemic, right?
Yes.
So I'm assuming during the pandemic, there had to be a moment where you were like, all right, I'm going to do my own thing. Like, what was that?
It really had nothing to do with the pandemic. It was just, I was ready. I was tired of having a boss. I had a vision of how I wanted to run my own business. And this is something that I've grew to know, kind of all sides of it, commercial and residential. And I knew the benefits of having it and also the cons of owning your own business. And so I just took the leap.
Okay, so you've been in the exterior business, like, for how long? Like, how did this all start?
I believe 2015 is when I got into it.
Okay.
Started working for another company. I worked for two companies between the start in 2015 to July of 2021 when we decided to go out on our own.
Were you doing like the sales? Were you doing the actual?
I was doing about everything. The sales, the project management, invoicing, inspections, just, kind of playing the owner, but really wasn't the owner.
So you got all aspects of it. And then you were like, all right, I'm ready.
Yep.
And then you just went off and it was just awesome from there on.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's been great.
Well, we know there's hiccups. We know there's dark skeletons in the closet.
Absolutely.
Well, how did you even get good at sales in this space? Because your space, I've seen some people try to sell, and it is.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, I mean, you're in a very cutthroat industry.
Yep.
It's
a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah, and it's either you completely succeed or you completely fail.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the only two you see. You see them come and go.
Yep, absolutely.
You see the ones that rise up, which obviously you've rose up very quickly.
Yes.
And the plan is to stay there.
The plan is to stay. That's our goal.
So how did we get up there quickly?
Honestly, I like to start with, I would say, my dad. Growing up, my dad kind of knew everyone in the community, whether it was from church or coaching youth sports or being involved in community activities. So just hanging out with him, just kind of gave me the gift of gab, I feel. And so I feel like I can talk to anyone, for the most part, and just gain their trust, learn about them. And then, as long as you have their trust, I feel like you got your foot in the door with them. And I don't know how many friendships I've gained out of, being in sales. Used car salesman is always the thing that people say. I don't like to look at it that way. I like to look at it as I'm trying to gain friendship from people. And I felt like that's kind of really what's, set us apart.
I think what it comes down to, honestly, is if you try to sell someone something they don't need, they can feel that. They can totally 110% feel that.
Mhm.
And for me, like we were talking before, you came on, it's about being a consultant and being somebody who, yes, you want to be their friend, but you also want to give them what's best for them. And that might be, as Chris knows, good news or bad news.
Absolutely.
That's just how it goes.
And that's where the trust thing, I think, really comes in, because like you said, no one wants something they don't need. They want to come to you and be like, what do you recommend? And that's, I guess, I feel like that's huge in any aspect of sales.
I would agree.
Well, plus with okay, I'm trying to break it down. So you do the siding, you do the roofing, you do a permanent lighting situation,
Mm-hmm.
which I know is kind of a newer thing. But those are all big ticket items. So it's not something, that anybody can just buy on a whim for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking, what, $20,000, $30,000 a lot for.
Depending on what, I mean, yeah, like just say your average lights for a house, if someone wanted to do the whole house, you're probably looking $6,000 to $9,000 to, plus some if you got a good size house, but it's a lot of people don't have that extra laying around, like,
or want to just spend it just like that. So
yeah,
you got to build that relationship, you got to build that trust, because that's a lot of money. And if, you run off with it or you mess up.
Yes.
Which I've heard a lot of horror stories of other,
Yeah, contractors doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
things.
And that's
Give the rest of us a bad name, but you're doing it right with the relationship thing and obviously with the marketing. So what do you think is the key to marketing for something like that to stick out from everybody else?
So when it comes to the marketing, is not my best cup of tea, and that's why we have Natalie.
Got it.
So
Natalie then.
I think what's really interesting about Eric and as an entrepreneur is like you have this very unique gift of making anyone feel like they can be themselves, and I feel very relaxed around you.
Mm-hmm.
That is rare. And most people in your industry, it is not a be themselves. It's a scammy feeling, right? And that's just the truth. You feel kind of like, okay, what's their hidden agenda? What are they trying to get me to do? So one thing that we decided to do with Eric's brand that I think is going to really help, boost him up over the next 5 to 7 years is just be very intentional about real branding. Like simple words. We're going to make your home the best on the block. We're going to help you, understand exactly what you're getting. No BS, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people want authenticity in their marketing and their branding. And I think that's why you've done so well so far, is because you're authentic. And I'd love to know from your perspective, as you've gone on this entrepreneurial journey, what some of the moments have been where you've had to like really reach deep down inside and go, okay, do I want to keep going? Because you're so authentic and everything, cherry on top.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a ton of moments where we all as entrepreneurs are like, I have no idea how I'm going to keep doing this.
I mean, so the industry I'm in, a lot of people rely on hailstorms. And so we're basically, you can call us we're a seasonal business, 8 to 9 months. Hence why we tried to start permanent lights, installing those so we can get some cash flow through the winter time. But when you have down years, I've been a part of it, for being in, this line of work for so long, you see the hardships. I mean, you can have a really good year, but you go 4 months without cash flow or 3 months without cash flow. It really hurts. And being in a saturated market like roofing, it's tough. So you got to be able to balance, your personal life, your business finances, personal finances, making sure, because I got 3 full-time employees, putting food on, money in their pocket for their families. And so that's where I guess I would say it's just like, man, do I want to keep doing this and stressing out? And then it gets better. And then, it's just always looking for what connections can I get next? How can I better my business? And that's why I feel like, when we got with Natalie and Oh Hello and really decided to go after it,
your mindset starts to shift
yes,
too when you invest, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So when you say go after it, like what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish as far as like growth regionally or employee wise?
I would like to have, my 10-year goal would be have 3 or 4 offices total. Whether it's between Iowa and Nebraska or all in Nebraska, maybe in dabbling into Kansas, because I live on the state line, but I don't know. That's my goal. And
It's scary to say it out loud sometimes.
It is.
Because you're vocalizing it and you're like, oh, okay, that is a scary thing.
Because,
It's on public record.
My one salesman, I told him that my goal was at the end of this year was to have an office up there. I don't know if it's going to happen. It's,
It's hard.
it is.
I want to ask about Everlights. I want to understand what moment made you go, okay, we need another product to diversify the cash flow. Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs go through that.
Oh, yeah, especially with the seasonal
Mm-hmm.
thing. I have the painting company as well, and it's mainly busy,
Yep.
now. And you get that anxiety, and you're like, second it starts snowing, you're like, crap, here you go.
That's the best way to put
what
the
do I gotta
anxiety
do?
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The permanent lights, we had talked about, what else can we do? Whether it's concrete, building decks, we don't do that, but what else can we do to add to our arsenal? And I talked with my wife a little bit, my salesman, his wife was a good friend of mine and my wife's through high school and stuff. And she kept bringing it up to me and I'm like, all right, finally I'm going to look into it. And then I looked into it and then researched a few different companies and talked with a few different others. And this was the one that really, I liked their values and how they operated. So that's how we chose Everlights.
Were you really strategic about choosing a product that, okay, the end of your season is like November, basically. And this is probably busiest November.
Mm-hmm.
So can you just talk a little bit about how do you do that type of strategy as an entrepreneur when you are maybe even in the moment, like more worried about cash flow than actually thinking like a strategist? Because anxiety starts to take over and you're like, I got to figure this out quick. But you really were strategic in selecting a product that your busy season ends and this starts.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I got such a good team when it comes to installing the lights. So as soon as, we line up a customer, whatever, we're trying to get them done. And we're starting to learn with the holidays of more and more get interested in these lights. I'm assuming 4th of July is going to be real, the month of June could be really hot for people wanting them for the 4th.
Mm.
And so it's just, I guess the way I put it to my project manager is you basically get 3 months off a year. So then he knows that he has to balance. We're not working a factory job here. If we need to be up at 6 or if we're going to work at 9, but we might not get off till 9:30 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
So he's really good at balancing what he's got to go do during the day and then schedule. Because once we get the lights in, as soon as we find time, we'll just go knock them out. So I guess I don't know if that's really answering your question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it partly does. I think where I feel like people and maybe our audience struggles is what to do when you're starting to realize you might have a cash flow issue and how to stay calm and be strategic. Because we've all, I think,
Strategic without
panicking.
Yes, because like you said, people can tell when you're trying to sell them something out of desperation.
Yeah, you can't ever
and
be
we've
this
all
way.
been there where you're like, I need this sale. Like, I need this sale so bad,
Mhm.
but you can't show that because people can sense that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You use car sales,
Yep.
you pull up into a car sales lot and there's 3 dudes that are coming at you in all directions,
Mm.
and you're just like,
I just want to look.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be like one of those.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right.
Well, I think the question for me and what I'm always trying to learn from other entrepreneurs is how to be strategic enough to realize that you should backfill with another product. Because here's the thing, we hear so much about focus, especially at our agency. I mean, we could sell 1,000. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the marketing comes in so many different forms.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a reason we don't just pop up a merch shop and start doing what you're doing, because it would take so much focus away from our core deliverables. But at some point, you also have to have little ways to get people in so you can cross-sell and upsell them into other services.
Yeah.
So it's a fine balancing act. And I'm just curious, as you mapped out your services, how you think about cross-selling and upselling.
I just have my own vision in my head of how I'm going to do it. I don't have, I guess, down on paper, my exact strategy of how I map it out. I just kind of play it by ear in a roundabout way, but it's a vision I have.
Hey listeners, quick break. Listen, we started this podcast because we actually like talking to other business owners. Whether you're crushing it or just Googled how to fire someone without crying, we've probably been there. If you ever want to connect for merch, branding help, or just swap war stories, check out perch-merch.com or ohhelloagency.com. No pressure. We'll even do a free brand or merch audit if that's your thing. All right, back to the episode.
Okay. So you're in the blue collar world, which I'm very familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
So the hardest part for me is finding the employees that are going to be dedicated, that understand that you're going to have that slow time versus that really busy time. And the busy time, that's when you work.
Yeah.
You work those extra hours, you work the weekends because that's how we all live.
Yep.
Like, would you consider that your hardest part? Like managing the blue collar part of it or managing the sales or running the jobs?
It's managing the blue collar part of it. I mean, it really is. It's, you surround yourself with people. If you don't take care of the people that you surround yourself with, then you're going to have nobody.
They leave.
They leave. And so that, yes, you can rifle through them. You can hire somebody once a week, quit, hire another one. But in order to really build a strong connection, you've got to treat them well. And, that includes their pay. And I guess I do. The hardest part for me is, when we get down to crunch time, the end of the year, did I do enough? Did I set enough back, to get us through this winter?
Winter is coming.
Don't say that word.
Game of Thrones, right? You guys don't watch Game of Thrones?
No.
All right.
No,
great.
working.
Us marketing people, we're working remote and watching Game of Thrones. Continue.
Just, you got to juggle. You got to be prepared. You're juggling a lot. I'm trying to be a salesman, trying to be a boss, trying to, I put a lot of trust in my employees, and that's huge. You guys being business owners, and if you don't have trust in them, people that are working for you, then you got an issue in your company.
Well, what are your tactics for building a good culture, even with just a few people? Because you said you've got your sales guy that you love and that you've been like, hey, I want to be able to open up another office. So what are some of the strategies you use to build trust within the people that you work with?
Just honestly being myself. I used to work on the railroad years ago. I delivered beer for Budweiser, and you can come across some real stingy ones that, you don't want to work for them. You don't want to work for this person. You don't want to work for this foreman. And it really affects the job. It affects the quality of the job. It affects the quality of your business. And so I just feel like when I, decided to start the business, hire employees, I just be down to earth with them. Treat them right. Treat them the way they want to be treated, and you'll get that in return. And that's where I guess it's, hoping to grow. So hopefully, Spencer's up here, gaining trust with insurance companies, with, real estate agents. That's the next thing. It's not just, gaining trust or meeting new customers. It's also the other part of the
New partners.
Yes, new partners.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I'm trying to look at it from like a business perspective on like the sales things or just the whole idea of it. So you have 3 full-time employees there. Are they all sales?
no, I got 1 salesman, 1 project manager, and 1 office
Okay.
manager.
For the sales, is that like a commission plus base, or how does that work? Like, how do you find that right person too?
And that's so, I've know a lot of people in this industry, some that have much more experience than I do. And I've reached out to them before I hired my salesman. And there's multiple different options. Storm chasers, for example, they work off commission only.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there might be some companies in the bigger cities, that's how they pay their salesmen. But I do a base salary and then a percentage of the job profit for commission.
Okay.
Wow.
That's worked out pretty good though.
Yeah. Yep. So far it is. You got to know who your salesman is. So, whether if they're very motivated, then you can kind of give them a higher base versus someone that, if you gave them a high base, they'd be like,
Whatever.
I don't really need to go sell much.
I always hear
And
you
that's
should do
kind of,
lower.
I've had a horrible time with all my businesses and salespeople. I mean,
It is-
honestly,
it
and
is
I've
the-
tried every single tactic, the
Uh-huh.
base plus commission, just the high base, low commission, or just commission. And for me, that's probably one of my biggest struggles because I'm trying to find a me.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Like, because like we were talking earlier, if we weren't business owners, what would we do? And I would think to myself, I'd be a salesman for a company like mine, like Perch Merch, because I think it'd be fun and I would
You crash.
work fine on just commission.
Yeah.
because I know what I can do. But nowadays it is so hard to find those salespeople.
That it is.
I think people I have a theory about this, okay?
Okay.
I think people are so used to the comforts of everything. You don't have to leave your house to get food at Chipotle anymore. You can Instacart it. You can DoorDash it. You don't have to go to the grocery store. You don't have to even go to the movie theater. You can get that movie for $20 right there on Chris's TV, right? Like, you don't have to do much. And we are naturally wired. I mean, actually, we were naturally wired as cavemen and cavewomen to caveman goes out to hunt, cavewoman grabs the berries, right? Like, we have lost so much of that in just the ease of everything. And so what I'm experiencing as an entrepreneur myself is it's difficult to find people who are wanting to hustle and wanting to sell, specifically sell, because life is easy and they're used to getting their dopamine through no pain, even on social media. So that's one of the reasons that I take it very seriously. Reading about like the pain pleasure scale of dopamine and putting my phone away and working out and doing things that are difficult and forcing myself out of my comfort zone, because I'm realizing that society today is making us all so comfortable that we're not willing to challenge ourselves. And I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, is it challenges you. But finding a salesperson who's also got that same mindset is really a needle in a haystack right now.
It is, because not only do you want to find one, but to expand, you need to find
10.
Yeah.
You need 10 of them.
It's a challenge. A lot of people can say they can do sales until they get into sales.
Mm-hmm.
Or a lot of people think they're doing a lot for their sales when they're really not.
I mean, no matter what business you're in, there's bad salesmen.
Yeah, besides the obvious, which is be nice and be their friend. And, there's definitely things that you're doing and things you're instilling in your people right now that are leading to success that you want to scale in the culture. So what is it? What are you training your salesperson to do? What are you training your team to do that is leading to business success?
I don't know. It's not the right thing to say. I would say not to be salesmen, but you represent the company off of work and, in work. If my project manager goes and, he's a race car driver.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a whole new different category of friends that, I normally am not around. So when he goes to the races, he represents the company outside of work. And he enjoys it. He enjoys his job. He loves his job. And so if someone starts talking about a roof, and they're like, well, you work for a roofing company. And I mean, it's growing like that.
Yeah, an opportunity to actually elevator pitch himself and say, this is what we do, and you should think of us.
Yes. And then he gets a kickback. He gets a bonus for it. Whether it's my project manager, my office manager, my salesman.
Well, you're building a culture of people who all understand sales is the job and bringing cash in is the game, or the business doesn't exist.
Yeah. Everybody's working on the common goal to grow. So we'll talk about it.
Yep.
Wear the merch outside of work, if that's always the dream, to see one of my employees wearing, the stuff on a weekend. And if I happen to run into them and wearing the merch and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like, you get it. So what do you go off of leads? Like, do you think you get the leads and then you hand them off to the sales guy, or do you think the sales guy has to get his own leads?
I'm glad you asked that, because that is a very
touchy
subject in our exterior industry.
In a lot, yeah.
I believe the salesman should go generate their own leads. We'll do the advertising, like with you up here in this area. And they call in, absolutely, here's the lead, go get it, go.
Yeah, it just can't be, all of your.
No, we can't wait at the business phone waiting for these people to call in when you can be going to
knock doors,
real estate agents, insurance agents, just networking in general. I've realized, and that goes back to your question you asked, I'm finally getting it back to my head. Networking is so big in this industry, getting your name out there to know one person. Now, one person can make your company grow by $500,000. I mean, it only takes
real estate investor.
It only takes one person
that can change your entire company.
Whether it's getting with a group, you're meeting at a coffee shop or meeting for lunch, or just, asking a real estate agent, hey, you want to go play a quick nine, or just, that's what you need to grow a business. That's my true belief.
I feel the exact same way. And here's my theory, okay? You need both. Half of my time, because I'm essentially in sales too, is spent doing the research on who to cold call, who's got a new marketing director, who's got a new budget, figuring out on LinkedIn who spoke recently and is speaking more and probably could use PR and we could help them. That is half of it. But the other half of it is the long game, which is our podcast, building relationships with people over years, going to networking events, having coffees, and just building value before the ask. So people have forgotten that. They've forgotten the decorum around that. And it's not just selling someone right away. It's building a relationship with them and then saying, and how can I help you? And 10 times out of 10, it is something so easy that they need. Like, you know what? Do you have an attorney who does estate planning? Because we actually need that. It's like, actually, I do. And I'd love to introduce you. It's somebody I've used. I've vetted. They're amazing. They have a great experience and they associate you with that great experience.
So going back to what you were saying then, what do you think is the best that has worked out the most for you? Like going to the networking groups or going to like the real estate agent offices?
To be honest, we're just starting to get into the networking.
Okay.
But I'm realizing how important it is. But I like just stopping in, can you give me 5 minutes? You got 5 minutes? Let's sit down. Here's a card of mine. This is what we do. We'd love to build a working relationship with your company. And if you don't reach out, whether it's a GC or, insurance agents, go down the list. If you don't go reach out to them, they're not going to come reach out to you. And you gotta be willing to, the 2-letter word that nobody wants to hear. No. You got to be willing to accept it.
Do you think people are too scared to know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's a huge, big piece in sales is people are scared to get out of that comfort zone and they're scared of rejection.
I get that.
I think that you have
I've
to
been there, but
reframe it.
eventually, yeah.
Every no is one step closer to a yes.
Yep, that's your famous saying.
I
Yeah.
say it to you all the time. When I hear no, I just hear not
Well,
now.
Alex Hormozy says, if you have no sales, you have no shame.
Be
Ask.
shameless.
Yep.
Do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that sticks with me. Like, all right, I'll take a no then.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
to get to that yes.
Absolutely. It's
And it's like you said, one client, you find one GC that, does 100 million in projects a year, you're golden.
yeah. So we do elastomeric roof coatings. So like metal roof restoration. So I went down there for training. I did their certification training. Then I went down to Kansas City and did their advanced training. And I met a guy down there. He was a key speaker. Got up and I talked to him after the seminar and stuff. And during his speech, he said that he went to just say roughly 150 businesses, factories that have big metal roofs, and was just trying to give his business card. Can I talk to the head of maintenance? Can I talk to the owner? It was no, 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 no. He got to the last one where it really hit him. He walked in and the guy's like, you know what? As a matter of fact, we are having some leaks. Ended up going up on the roof with the guy that day. Never knew him. This guy's never heard of this guy's company. And ended up being a $1.3 million roofing project.
Man, that's the story we needed on a Friday.
Yeah, no kidding.
So that's why
I'll take that story.
yeah, it's just the drive. Everyone likes to make money. Everyone
wants success.
wants success. And, that's including your salesman, just because you're not the owner. I know some very successful salesmen for roofing companies that do a really, really good job.
Well, I think what I'm really hearing you say, and I think that what sticks to me about that story is as I have done cold calls or marketing reach outs or whatever, I will refine my pitch as I'm in the cadence. So you hear no, okay, they tell you why no. So you take that little bit of information, you refine your pitch for the next one. By the time he got to the end, he knows why all the other people were saying no, or he has a sense of why they didn't. So he's trying something different. And it just goes to show if you don't put in the reps and you can't figure out how to refine the pitch, you don't get the yes.
Fail fast, learn faster.
Fail fast, learn faster. And when I'm hiring at Oh Hello, we just hired an amazing senior account director. I interviewed him and I said, it's 4:00 on Friday. A client calls you. They're super pissed. They didn't get as many placements in the media. And we said they were going to get 2 that month. What are you doing? And his answer was, I will never forget this. This is why we hired him. He said, if it were me, that would have never happened because I would have been talking to that client so many times that I would already know why they didn't succeed. And again, it just comes down to you've got to be willing to over communicate, to step out of your comfort zone, to call someone every single day, to figure out what their business needs are. Refine your pitch, whether it's account management or sales. Very similar.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, I want to ask you one more question before we rally up our time together. So as you look ahead at the industry and what's happening with artificial intelligence, what's happening in the world, what do you see as some of the opportunities for what you're doing in business?
I really see an opportunity that I believe is a full opportunity to grow your business faster than you've really ever thought about growing it. The AI thing has taken off, and I am on trying to keep up with it is one thing. And after talking with you before the podcast today, I didn't, it's just the opportunities are endless. And I feel like it will help so many businesses in so many ways if you utilize it and use it.
Because you were the first agency you hired that
Yes.
we've offered you an AI solution.
Yep.
And you were so open to it, but so many people are scared of it.
Yeah, I was at first, and then you made me.
I said, yeah, we're doing it.
And now it's part of my daily life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I was like, all right, here's the problems today. Give me some ideas. And it does. It knows me. It's crazy. The whole thing's crazy. If you're not using it, you are way behind.
Absolutely.
Like, way behind.
It's changing it's changing all businesses. I feel like it don't matter what business you're in. And if you don't keep up, you're out.
Yeah.
But it goes to show, I mean, you guys look, no one is going to replace painting and putting up a roof anytime in the next 10 to 20 years. I mean, I can say that with full confidence.
Yeah, we're safe.
You are very safe. So I do think maybe another question I have for you, even though I said that was the last one, how do you make sure new people are going to be coming into your industry who think they can do it? Because it's an industry that's highly lucrative and has more opportunity, I think, blue collar industries than any other industries around the world. You think financial, marketing, legal, accounting, they are all at risk right now with artificial intelligence. So what are you going to do to differentiate yourself in the next 3 to 5 years and continue growing?
I think it's utilizing AI. It really is. I don't like it. I think a lot of the mom and pop companies are going to dwindle out, just as you've kind of talked. If you get a new paint company or a new roofing company, if they're coming in and, they got a good catch, a good, even look, and they're using AI, I mean, I feel like they're, you'll just start trumping these other companies.
It doesn't matter if you've been around 2 months or 20 years.
Yeah.
The one that's doing the AI is the one that's going to.
You better jump on the AI train.
That's
Systems,
100%.
Systems. Well, Eric, this was wonderful.
I have one more question.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell us.
Edit that out.
It's fine. So tell us a time as a business owner, since you became the owner, that you thought it was done, like it wasn't going to work, and how you got out of that. Was there a time you almost gave up?
Yeah. We started in July of 21. So we had 4 months of work or 3 months of work, and then we went right into our down period. And I kept thinking to myself, are people going to call me in spring? Is this going to happen? You see your bank account going down, not going up, because of the cash flow. There is none. And that was a time I'm like, was this the right decision? But on the same breath, dreams don't work unless you do. And so I kind of live by that.
What did you do, though? What did you do when you had that feeling? Like, what were some actions you took?
So my anxiety was so high that I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep until 6:30 or whatever. I was up when I was researching in my office at just different companies who to reach out to, and then I just started driving. You drive to this town, go hit these people up. Drive to this town, call them. Just anything I could, sending out postcards. That worked for, a good amount. That got us a lot of spring work that year. So that was probably the scariest time. And now I would say my scariest time is that I have 3 full-time employees. And so always in the back of my mind is, I'm supporting their families too. So
I get that. Yeah. It's all on you.
Yep.
I do think the anxiety, which we both have all the time.
Yeah.
I I think the most important thing to do is just keep moving. And I think when you get anxious as an entrepreneur, it's one step, one email, one phone call. And that's what I personally do. This morning, I had that same feeling. And I was like, go to the gym, lift weights, and then start sending one text here, one text here, one text here. Who do you know? Who could you refer me? Because I'm in the same position where our busy season is typically in the fall, right? Slows down in about December, picks back up in about February, March, and then slows down again in April and May when people have kids' school stuff, right? This is a slower season for me. So I've got to be thinking, all right, instead of letting anxiety get into me, one step, one action.
And you're right. It's funny because, we talked about that. Like, you can't sleep, and like I get up 5 o'clock, but you can't call people and start texting people.
No, you can't.
5 o'clock in the morning.
That's when I would go to the office.
I got to start.
Yeah, no, you can't.
No. And you're like, go to the gym. Just give it some time. It's like 9 o'clock. Is that too early? Is that too early to start bothering people? Give it a little bit more time. I've done that so many times where I'm like, woke up, like, I have to right now. Today's the day I'm going to call 1,000 people, whatever it takes. It's like it's 6 a.m. Nobody, if I do that, people are not going.
And that's one thing I told my salesman, you don't got to call 75 people every day. Pick a day. Like you just said, pick a day. This is going to be the day I'm going to call this many companies. I'm going to stop by this many, whatever it is. Just if you don't have your own goals for yourself, then you won't succeed. And I feel like if you don't help your employees have goals,
they won't.
Then you're failing them and you're failing yourself. And that's one thing I guess I struggle with my salesman is really implementing goals for him, seeing what his goals are, because every salesman's different. You know that. So it's really finding their strong suits and what realistic goals they could have, and I just feel like you got to help them with that as well.
And help people find their tribe. I feel like I have you, I have your wife, I have people that are other entrepreneurs. I have Eric that I can call and say, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Yeah. And I think that is probably one of the biggest things that has kept me in it for not feeling alone.
Yeah. Surrounding yourself, especially with other business owners.
Yes.
We've all been through it. We all are going through it.
Yep.
And you either get a bunch of business owners in a room that are all boasting about how awesome they are, or one guy says, man, this winter sucked. And then just boom, everybody's like, oh my God. And then that's when you all connect, when you're like,
yeah, absolutely.
Let's help each other now.
It's a red flag to me when I get around an entrepreneur who's just like, everything's so easy. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what you're doing.
You're not real.
You're not a real person. Because it's just not true.
Nope.
Yep.
And to live in it every day and be honest is like part of what you need. So
you can do your thing.
All right. So should I go ahead and take us home?
Yeah.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for joining the Unscripted Climb. We've loved having you on. One last question to end it with. If you could do anything else but be a roofer, what would you be? The owner of a roofing company?
Probably be a hunting guide out in the mountains.
A hunting guide. Ooh, I love that.
I don't, but I'm not an outdoorsy guy.
Alone.
Yeah.
Yellowstone style, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Eric.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yep, that was awesome. Thanks, everybody.